Well, good evening and welcome to the Arbor Hills Nature Preserve in Plano, Texas. Tonight's exercise is a field test of the NEXTORCH TA30C MAX. I want to thank NEXTORCH for sending me the light and making the review possible. This is a 21700 base tack light marketed heavily to law enforcement. I will keep that in mind during tonight's demonstrations. This has very typical NEXTORCH fit and finish, solid construction. I really like the grip and general feel. About the only thing I probably don't like is I wish that this texturing were more aggressive, especially if I'm wearing gloves. Now, on the subject of operation, you have both a tail cap switch and a dial. Dial has tack, which is the current setting, off. Operation is intended to be primarily through the tail cap switch, then low, medium, high, and strobe. I like the fact that all of the lights operation is here in one area, and I don't have to cycle through strobe or back through other modes to go between, let's say, low and medium or high and medium. Tail cap switch, very simple. You've seen this before. Half press gets you high, full press, variable frequency strobe, release to half press. You're back to high, then full release, off. You turn this dial counterclockwise. There's low, medium, high, strobe, then back to low. If you're in low, for example, you press the tail cap switch, takes you to high. That's a half press. Release, you're back to low. Then you can go back up or all the way off. In terms of grip, here's something you might want to think about. This is a normal overhand grip with the index finger tightly around the back of the light, and then the thumb moves like this. Problem is, when you release, you have to re-grip in order to use the dial. You may want to get in the habit of the right-hand grip of pre-staging your index finger here. Then, when the thumb comes off, don't take it all the way off, just rotate it back. Then, the thumb and forefinger are naturally in a position to work the dial. You saw the battery indicator there. Now let me get around here. Left hand is just the opposite. You do want to take the full grip around the light with your index finger. Then again, don't release the thumb like that. Roll it off to the left, and then you are in position. I can't show my thumb and forefinger and the light at the same time, but then you're in position to work the dial. I've been practicing with this more with my right hand than the left, and yes, it will take some practice to get used to. Now, I know what you're probably most interested in, and that is, how does this light perform in the field? So it's time for me to quit talking. Let's get out there and find out. All right, let's get started. It's not actually dark yet, but every light looks good in a perfectly dark environment. Let's suppose we got a call. We're here in the playground area, and then somebody reported they thought somebody was coming up the pathway here and then kind of hid off in the trees. I've got the 30 on low right now, so what I'm interested in is, in this imperfect environment, what can we get out of that low mode inside of, say, 20, 25 yards max. So, I mean, I can actually look back into the trees as someone was hiding back there. Now, that tree line right there, That's definitely beyond where I could do identification. I could pick up something reflective, but it might be hard telling exactly what it is. So that is our first test in low mode. We didn't see anyone. We'll have to call this one UTL. Here is a test in medium. We are at the Dorba, or Dallas Off-Road Bike Association Trail. This is technically closed right now, so sometimes you'll get people out here riding after an hour. After hours, you'll get a call. You might hear something off in the distance there. And again, we're trying to pick up what the edge of the envelope is at each of these modes. And that's a good 50 plus yards away through that gap. Lots of light pollution from the surrounding city. And yes, that was lightning. I'll probably get rained on tonight. But you wanted to see a rain test, didn't you? This is another low test. I'm at the bridge where I normally do standard output level test. I'm trying to illustrate using the light in actual calls. If someone knows this area, there's actually a path that goes behind those trees, and you can walk right there and get down in this area. So this would actually be a pretty good place to hide. And again, I'm looking at kind of what I can get out of low. Right there, we're looking at about 38, not quite 40 yards line of sight, and we're at the edge of what I could do detection with this mode. I do kind of wish that NEXTORCH had given us maybe a good 10% bump in both the low and medium output levels. All right, let's go deeper in the preserve, and we'll continue to exercise this light even more. Okay, one final test in low. Well, maybe not final, but I want to spend most of the time in medium and high. So I got this turnout here. Maybe we're looking for someone. We just want to come out to the edge here and see what we're up against. Okay, we've got a creek there. Path leads off here, but no footprints, no indication that anybody came through here. Looking up into the trees here. Okay, whatever we heard was probably an animal, so we'll move on and run some tests in medium now. This is medium. We're looking over a creek area, a good 35 plus yards to the other edge up into the trees there. We're at the entrance to the outer loop trail, and as I pan around a good 22, maybe 23 yards to that sign, pan around some more. Yeah, it looks like it's getting closer. Then we've actually got pretty good visibility into the trees there as the path curves off to the right. I'd still prefer about another 10%, but with all the light pollution we have out tonight, this is actually not bad at all. I want to get one good high test in before it rains. Not the first trees here, but the back tree line angles off to my left. And when I get over kind of in this gap, it's well over a football field line of sight. We're seeing we get a very wide field of view, and I've got good visibility to that tree line, at least in terms of making detection, not identification. I am feeling a tiny bit of heat in the head area of the light. So based on the mix of lumen and candela, we're getting pretty much what we would expect. which is kind of a balance between throw and wide field of view. And again, that area there is probably 110, maybe a little bit more from my current position. Well, when you're searching for Billy Bad Guy, observation from an elevated position is often a good tactic. We are at the top of the observation tower right now. There is some light behind me and around me. Not much, but a little. I'm in high mode right now, looking down onto the outer loop trail. I'll just pan back and forth. Now, I did let the light cool down after the last test. I'm going to let this run a little bit more for a partial burn down test, and I'll report on heat. I'm gripping the light more towards the middle front, so I've got my palm partially on the head area of the light. I am feeling some heat, but it is not uncomfortable. All right, we're over a minute. Felt heat is remaining constant. Again, not uncomfortable at all. All right, that's a bit over 2 minutes in high. I can definitely see some step down. Heat is absolutely not an issue. All right, that takes us to over 3 minutes. I'm going to shut it down, let the light cool, and then we'll run a couple more tests. Well, I've been lucky so far. Lots of lightning flashes, no rain. We are in medium right now. Maximum line of sight's a good 55, 58 yards. Just pan back and forth a bit. All right, I'm going to head back up to the picnic area. I know what you're thinking. This impresses you as a very sedentary exercise. You need to see something more kinetic. If I'm not going to get hit by lightning or rained on, you want some action, right? Well, you want it, you got it. All right, we're back pretty much where we started. The purpose of this exercise is twofold. I have the light pre-staged in medium. We got another report of Billy Bad Guy back in the playground area. So I'm going to have to move fast. I want to get the adrenaline level up, get some yelling going. And we're going to test two things. One is how well does the high mode work with photonic barriers? And I want to test how reliable is that half press to high under pressure and under duress. Will I accidentally press through to strobe when I do not want to, which could be disorienting to me? The only time I should get strobe is when I want it, in which case I will yell strobe, strobe. All right, so let's get started. Looking over here, nothing there. Okay, let's move through here. Get back to the playground. Light up the playground. Don't see any movement yet. What about over here? Okay, nothing so far. Come on, we gotta move it. Another quick flash and high. I think I see something moving back there. Gotta get to it. Check this area. Looks okay. I'm carrying about 35 pounds of weight, by the way, in gear. More quick flashes. And nothing up here. On my six, strobe, strobe, strobe. Okay. More brief flashes. All right, you were there. Stop. Show me your hands. Strobe, strobe. Okay. Well, that was pretty interesting. Out of breath. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close it down here. Hopefully you saw what you needed to see. In terms of changes I would make, not many. The texturing, I'd like to see a good 10 to 20%. There's another quick burst. Another 10 to 20% on low and medium. Officers already have admin lights and lights that are good for extremely close quarters operation. This is a tack light, so it's all about performance. Care less about runtime. We carry spares. I've been done patrol before, always had spares for every light I carry. Same thing in search and rescue. The game is all about performance. Another quick light up there. Behind me, strobe, strobe. All right, still doing good. Again, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. If there's anything else you'd like to see, leave a comment. I'll see what I can do. And as always, until the next review, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching the video. Behind me, strobe, strobe.